Hi, this is Krista at The Secret Yarnery. Today we are making this gorgeous color-changing granny square. This is my go-to pattern for granny squares because it looks great on both sides. There's no wrong side or right side, and it also doesn't twist. You may have made granny squares before, and the center kind of turns to the side. It turns towards your crochet hand, and then when you join them together, they're square on the outside, but the centers are a little bit wobbly. So in this pattern, I'll show you how to avoid that. Plus, there's no visible join running up along the side. Your join is hidden each and every time. You can make your granny square any size you like with whatever colors you have. It's a great stash buster. Just keep repeating round 4 until your granny square is the size you want it to be. If you'd like to follow along with a written pattern, it's available over on my website, secretyarnery.com. And you don't have to worry about being able to read a pattern. All of my patterns are written in plain English, just like I'm speaking in this video. To make this color-changing granny square with no seam and no twist, you will need whatever yarn you have on hand. This is a size 4 worsted weight acrylic. I'll be using a 6mm crochet hook. You'll also need a pair of scissors and a needle for sewing in your ends. So let's get started. To start, grab your center color and make a slip knot any which way you normally do. Shrink that down and pop it onto your hook. Chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to go into this very first chain right on top of our slip knot right here. Just pop your hook in. It doesn't matter where in that stitch you poke your hook into. And get yourself situated. So we want to take our tail underneath our work, and we want to form this U shape like that. And hold it open with your finger and thumb, and slip stitch to form a ring. Holding that open, chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. Wrap your yarn and make 2 double crochets into the center of that ring, still holding it open with your finger and thumb. 2 double crochets. Taking care to go over your tail. So there is 1, and here is 2. That's our second double crochet. Our chain counts as a double crochet also, so that counts as 3 double crochets. Chain 2, 1, and 2, and into the center of that ring, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 2, 1, and 2, and into the center of that ring again, 3 more double crochets. So we're just building the sides of our square right now. So 3 double crochets into the center of that ring, still going over your tail. There is number 3. Now grab that starting chain and slide your new stitches back. That'll give you some more space along the ring to lay your double crochets nice and flat side by side. So chain 2, 1, and 2. Wrap your yarn and into the center of that ring, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Now we are finished with this color, so to end, chain 2, and we're going to slip stitch into the top of that chain 3 to join. Right there, we want to get 2 strands of that stitch on the top of our hook. So poke your hook in, 2 strands on the top of your hook, and slip stitch to join, and chain 1 to secure your yarn. Cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail to sew in with a needle later. Pull your hook up and your yarn through and snug that down to secure. And that finishes round 1. If you'd like to check out my work or what I might be working on, check out my weekly podcasts. To start round 2, turn your work, so flip it over, and we want to put our hook into that corner right before our join. Grab a loop of your next color yarn, long enough tail to sew in with a needle later. Bring it through and slip stitch with both strands to join. Drop your tail, just holding it along the back of your work, and chain 2. 1 and 2. If you join your yarn in a different way, chain 3. This counts as our first double crochet. 2 more double crochets into that corner space. 1 and 2. Now into the next corner space, we can work over that tail, so just hold it along your work. We're going to do a corner. Corners are 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets. So there's 1, 2, 3, chain 2, 1 and 2. You can slide those stitches back to give yourself some more room for your double crochets to lay down nice and flat, and 3 more double crochets into that same corner space. 1, 2, and 3. Into the next corner, we're going to do a corner. So 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, chain 2, and 3 more double crochets into that same corner space. 1, 2, and 3. And remember, you can slide those stitches back, just give them a tug if you need to make more space for your stitches to lay down nice and flat side by side. And now into our last corner, same thing, 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets. So here is 1, 2, 3, chain 2, 1 and 2. Slide those stitches back if you need some more space, and 3 more double crochets into the same corner space. 1, 2, and 3. Now when we get back to the corner where we started, we're just going to finish that corner. So 3 double crochets into that first corner space where we started. 1, 2, and 3. And we're finished with this color now also, so we're going to do a chain 2, 1 and 2, and slip stitch to the top of that chain 3 to join. Right here, we're going to slip stitch. So pop your hook in, and 1 slip stitch to join. Chain 1 to secure your yarn. Cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail to sew in with a needle later. Pull your hook up and your yarn through, and snug that down to secure. And that finishes round 2. Wondering what other left-handed tutorials I have? I made a whole playlist for you. Check it out. To start round 3, turn your work. Find a corner where you haven't joined your yarn. Pop your hook in. Grab your next color. Loop of yarn on your hook, long enough to sew in with a needle later. Bring it through and slip stitch with both strands to join. Drop your tail, just holding along the back of your work. And chain 2. 1 and 2. Wrap your yarn and 2 double crochets into the same corner space. 1 and 2. Now into the side space, just this middle space along the side, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And into the next space, we're going to do a corner. So every corner always gets a corner. Corners are 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets. So there is 1, 2, 3, chain 2, 1 and 2, and 3 more double crochets into that same corner space. 1, 2, and 3. Into the space along the side, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Into the corner where we joined, I'm just going to hold that tail along the edge of my work so I can work over it with my new stitches. So corners always get a corner, 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets all into the same corner space. So there's 2, 3, chain 2, slide those stitches back if you need some more room, and 3 more double crochets into the same corner space. 1, 2, and 3. Into the space along the side, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And into the corner, a corner. So 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets all into the same corner space. 1, 2, 3, chain 2, pinch your work and pull your stitches back, giving yourself some more space, and 3 more double crochets into that same corner space. 1, 2, and 3. Into the space along the side, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And into the corner where we started, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. So I'm finished with this color, so I'm going to chain 2, 1, and 2, and we're going to slip stitch into the top of that chain 3 to join. Right there. Just going to pop our hook in, 2 strands of that stitch on the top of your hook. So just slide your hook in, and 1 slip stitch to join, chain 1 to secure your yarn, cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail to sew in with a needle, pull your hook up and your yarn through, and snug that down to secure. And that finishes round 3. To start round 4, turn your work. Look for a corner where we haven't joined our yarn. Just slide your hook in, get your next color yarn, loop of your next color yarn on your hook, leaving a long enough tail to sew in with a needle later. Bring it through and slip stitch with both strands to join. Drop your tail, just holding it along the side of your work, and chain 2. 1 and 2. Into that same corner, 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. Into each of these side spaces, 3 double crochets into each. So 3 double crochets into the first space. 1, 2, and 3. And 3 double crochets into the next space. 1, 2, and 3. And into your corner, corners always get corners, 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets all into the same corner space. So there's 1, 2, here is number 3, chain 2, 1 and 2, Now you can grab your work and slide your stitches back just to make sure you have enough space to lie your double crochets down nice and flat side by side. And here is 1, 2, and 3 double crochets all into the same corner space. So now you can pause the video and keep working your way along. Each space along the side gets 3 double crochets. And each corner gets 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets. So pause the video and keep working your way around, and I'll meet you when we get back to where we started.
Looking for a fabulous crochet community? Join our Friday live chats every Friday at 5 p.m. in Nairobi.
When you get back to where we started, we're just going to finish that corner with our 3 double crochets into that corner space. 1, 2, and 3, chain 2, 1 and 2, and we're going to slip stitch to the top of that chain 3 to join, just where we normally have been, top of the chain 3, 2 strands of that stitch on the top of your hook, 1 slip stitch to join, chain 1 to secure your yarn, cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail to sew in with a needle later. Pull your hook up and your yarn through and snug that down to secure. And now if you want to keep going with the same color yarn, I'll show you a secret join to keep your join straight up in that corner so nobody sees that little chain going up the side of your granny square. So this is how you do it. Chain 1. And now we're going to single crochet to join. So same spot as we were going to slip stitch, but we're just going to go in and make 1 single crochet to join, just holding that spot open with your finger and thumb in between those sets of 3 double crochets. So single crochet and chain 3. 1, 2, and 3, and turn your work, still holding that open with your finger and thumb, and 2 double crochets into that first corner space, right where that chain is coming from. 1 and 2. And now we want to grab a stitch marker. We just want to mark that corner right where we joined, right there. So when we're coming along, we're going to know that that's a corner and not a side space. And now we just keep going as usual in the same color yarn. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial as much as I did. If you'd like to see more of my work, check out my podcasts.